Since we're going to look at ways that we can incorporate data within our projects in order to provide some more factual evidence, context, really kind of cement some of our concepts, let's look at how data can be utilized. We're really looking for the story within data. It's not worth it to our readers or viewers of our projects to just throw a bunch of numbers at them and say, here, this supports what I've been telling you. We need to consider these raw form, the building blocks of the stories that we're going to pull out. So a data set is really just a bucket full of numbers, and when we weed through those numbers, we're going to see how stories shake out of them. And what this enables us to do is to create some type of visualization that shows us the context of these numbers that we're talking about. The one I'm showing you here deals with population density, and without it even being identified, I bet you can guess what the city is on the right-hand side with the biggest spike in this whole map. And I'm sure you guessed that was New York. The same way the one that's in the middle doesn't have an identifier, but you can probably guess that that's Chicago. And we know that because we have some context. We don't really understand everything about the numbers in this map, but we do understand the idea that it's trying to convey, and it's giving us kind of the highlighted importance of a data set. These data visualization tools, and I've given you quite a few of them in the iTunes U course, are going to create a picture that makes clearer to the viewer what exactly the numbers will mean to them. So the best way for us to get started is to get an idea. We're going to gather data as we're doing our story. An example, let's say we do something with homelessness. Well, homelessness is a huge topic, and if we said, well, there's umpteen thousand homeless people in the city of Columbus, Ohio, that doesn't really have any context to us. I can't necessarily envision what percentage that is of the population, and what does it look like? Are these families? Are these single men, single women? What age are they? Would you feel differently about the data if I said these were 70-year-old men or 15-year-old girls? So, being able to look at data and see how different populations will break out, or different circumstances, or different geographic regions, all of those things will help us understand them a little bit better. So we're going to use the tools that I've given you in iTunes U. We're going to scrub our data, get the purest data that we can, and then we're going to start to play around and see what program will help present it the best. Now, data can come in really the simplest form, and these are things that I'm sure you've seen since you've been in elementary school, making pie charts and bar charts, looking at a line chart, which is comparing a single value, an area chart, which is kind of a cross between a pie chart and a line chart. This is an area chart on steroids that we see with the New York Times graphics. One of the most common graphics that we see, and I'm sure you see them a lot, is mapping. We see them for forecasting weather or different events, for plotting some sort of statistical information. Often it helps us when where is a pretty significant part of the question that we're asking. So we might use them for a locator map, as we see here this is a map of the Civil War Trust. It'll show how events unfolded. It'll show some sort of migration, maybe the path of something taking place. We can look at geologic maps like this one of California, looking at physical features of land or physical features that relate to population. Here's a statistical map that deals with the numbers. This numerical data is correlating to location. We can look at this map where we are looking at the Hispanic population based on the census. And so even on just a glance, you can see if we understand the key, without even understanding the numbers, we see that the highest Hispanic population is right there in Texas and Oklahoma, much less so in New York and Maine. So this is really giving us insights that we don't necessarily have to fully grasp all of the data. We still get the idea that it's trying to depict. This isoline map is using color, so I bet you're guessing this is temperature. And where's the hottest part? We see in the southeastern part of the United States, South Texas. We don't really have to understand how hot it is when we can sort of see this, how the colors are helping us depict the information. Dot distribution is indicating values, so this one looks at AIDS cases, and we can see just at a glance that on the east and west coast is where those cases seem to have the most prevalence. Now, an infographic is another great way to depict information data in a graphical way. So this is a timeline of beer. You can see how visually we're color coding things. We're providing statistics, but yet a time frame for them. We're presenting knowledge. This is a lot of information in a relatively small space. Here showing us the process by which something might occur, or the inner workings of something with a diagram like this. Here's a way, this is an example of looking at poverty, several different ways looking at, women and men. There's certain data that's being presented. Now, I don't know how well this graphic works. It's really busy. It's trying to convey a lot of information, and I think it might be giving us more in a format that actually provides us with less. But what about this one? Pretty simplistic, looking at men and women in terms of their low risk and high risk related to drinking. I mean, this is a pretty simple graphic that conveys a lot of information. Here's a map that looks at migration related to San Bernardino County, California, outbound migration versus inbound migration. So the goal for you is to start to see how data can benefit your project, can bring information to light in ways that words and pictures and videos maybe can't, in a way to collect information together to help your viewer understand your story even better.